the way they did episode 5 was really good, in all honesty. The fact that they actually had Henry and Sam in there, they even sat there and put on a crazy spin when it came to Sam, and the part where Joel finds the Ish and Danny note on the 5th episode, I was literally screaming like, yeah, the way they tied that together, it was beautiful. I couldn't see no other way to do it, because then what was it, because they added a little bit of like a little spin to it. They added a little bit of pepper, like when it came to with even like Sam, like him being like a hearing impaired, him doing a little communication. But what I liked about it, they still nailed everything down to the way that it was supposed to be. Henry's character at first, because honestly in the previous episode, I even like how they did it in episode 4. They open up to them, you know, trying to find their way. They're using the truck crashes, they show that little shootout. And then what I like too with the show, there's parts of it, just the background, like it's you can pinpoint and remember exactly what's happening, where it's leading to. That's how we figured out that Tish was going to be infected, because like you saw where like a lot of the museum artifacts and stuff was hanging around the display, and they did that good. And then even with the city, some people didn't like the city part, because like, you know, like she was leading this hunt to find out finding Henry, trying to find out who also participated in the kill. But honestly, I like that filler, because it just gives more of the fun. Because when you think about it with the game, a lot of the dialogue that took place between Ellie and Joel was on the run, and it's kind of one of those, it's like you could pay attention to it, but then again you may not. You could pay attention to the writing and the different little notes and stuff, but then you don't. Sometimes honestly, like I would see the notes and it's like, I don't even care. My attention span can be super short, guys. But the show, it forces you to kind of get more engrossed in depth into the actual story. They even emphasized, because it wasn't even emphasized how old Joel really was in the beginning, or maybe I missed it. To anybody out there, you're more than willing to correct me on that. But it didn't do that until they did the remake, and the remake actually left where you can actually see Joel's actual ID, or at least the ID from back in the day, to kind of pinpoint from then into the date of where he was. They made Henry a little bit like he still had a swagger to him in that show, but then like at the same time it was kind of like he had that swagger, but then he was still like unsure, and I kind of like that. He didn't and it was really sad too, because the guy had sat there and looked out for him and for his brother, and then like he was like basically like, he's not coming back, I think he's dead, I think he's gone. And it just honestly, they did that good. And then it got to the part where they're actually trying to, and let me know guys if you can still hear me or not, but they actually got to that part where they literally had to go under the tunnel. They cut out a lot of the extra stuff, and a lot of people wanted to see, like, you know, them hiding, the separation between maybe Joel being with Sam, them running from the turret, but they did it still so well that there are certain parts of it that's forgivable. And I think the one thing that people have to keep in mind when it comes to like game adaptations is that it's not going to be the same. And to do everything down to the T, it's almost like a live game. And that was just impossible to do. That, and you would have been doing a lot of reading if we're gonna make the game or the show as little as the game. But after they did that, then they included the sniper scene. I like the sniper fight. That was pretty good. But the biggest anticipation, and I know everybody was amped up to see that, because when they finally brought out the bloater, and that's another thing I want to point out. Whether that's a mix of CGI as well as with the actors who did it, or if it was all CGI, they did a really good job with the clickers and their mannerisms, their movement. Because at one point, when they was in the museum part in episode 2, I believe, like they was just sitting there doing this, like they huffing, they was like, Rah! And then like it was just like it did like a reset, and I was like, they actually even got that down right. The movement, the sounds, and my clicker noise. I know that ain't no click. That was just some crack. We call it crackle. And what I really like is that they always show what happens behind the scenes in every episode. Yeah, because like honestly, they put a lot of effort. A lot of people crapped on episode 3. My only gripe with episode 3, if I had to say anything, was that I wish they could have condensed Bill's story down maybe to like 30 minutes, because it literally, the little girl clicker scared the, yeah, you saw she was sitting there bending, she was doing the ring and stuff on there, she was coming all through and rolling through, and I thought Ellie was about to get bit. Like, I'm like, and for Ellie, I mean, it won't matter if she gets bit or not because she's already immune, but still, that thing was, and they was super aggro. What was I about to say? But yeah, they really did that good. That was the one thing I had. I wish they would have condensed Bill's part, because, and then at the very least, it was like, condensed Bill's part, and the only thing I had, I was sad that he died. That was the one thing I hated. Like, I was like, damn, he died. But then I like how they paid homage to it, because if you think about it, they kind of did the same thing of what Frank did to Bill, but Bill instead did to Joel. Where he leaves him the letter and it's kind of like, hey, you know, you're an effing piece of crap, whoop de whoop de whoop, but here's this. And then they still kind of pay that homage to where he mentions Tish, but through Ellie, it was kind of like a pause before doing anything. But honestly, yeah, they did that. And when that bloater came out, the footsteps, the look, him throwing just anybody, it could have been a clicker, it don't even matter. And then that one soldier, I can't remember who the woman's name was that was leading that faction or that group, but he was like, go, get out of here. And they did the iconic jaw rip, and he ripped his head clean off. I was like, oh. Imagine if that little girl was on the game. I would literally be like, now, man, if they happen to put that like in Last of Us 3, I would love to see them do that, because honestly, that was beautifully well done. That was a nice little mix. It's moments like those, for real, that made me like, like they really did a good job. They really paid homage to the game. And then them trying to sit here and get away. The leader finally gets ripped to pieces. And then after that, they pull everybody in. And I don't know why. I had like, it was, I'm not gonna lie. Truth be told, funny thing was, episode 3 kind of made me teary-eyed a bit. It was kind of sad, you know, seeing, because like Bill and Frank, they were in love, and it was like this, like, it was kind of like this poetic kind of, it was just, it was sad to see him like go out the way they did, like over the years, his health. But like, you know, Bill cared for him so much that he was willing to take the drink with him. I was sad for Sam's part too, because it was like he did everything in his power to get his brother out of there. And it almost makes me want to question, to anybody that will see this or ask or want to talk about it, is which do you feel, would you say the game's emotional level of Sam's death, did that impact you more, or did the show impact you? I cried a little too in episode 3 and in 5. Yeah, because I was like, damn, that was just kind of sad how that just happened. And you know, and then they show the iconic part where, like, you know, Sam is writing, but he's doing it on the little etch and sketch where you rip it, write it, rip it, write it. And he asked the question, and I was like, oh man. But I like the spin though, because they did something that I didn't think they was going to do. Sam actually showed Ellie the bite, which was cool. I wish they would have added that into the game. That would have been a nice mix, but I respect both universes as they are, that he hit it there. And Sam was much older in the game version than he was in here. He was like, I think 8 or something like that. Ellie was definitely older than him in the series. But he shows the bite, and then after that, Ellie's like, you know, like as if like look, I'm the cure, you know, as if like, so she actually cuts herself, puts the blood on, and I'm like, wishful thinking is, it's like, but like her mutation, I'm thinking in my mind, is like pretty much close to like a clicker on a higher strain. So I was like, it was one of the moments, I'm not gonna lie, it was a small part of me that wanted to see a happy ending. I was like, maybe they'll wake up and they'll be able to like like walk off and everything is cool. But then it was that moment where she gets up, he sees him sitting on the bed, and he turns around and attacks. And then Sam, and that the way they did it, Joel didn't add as much friction or reaction as he did in the first one, but he still kind of did, because you remember in the other one he was like, oh F it, but he's like, that's my effing brother, KQOD Gaming. Ah! Welcome to the ending of the stream and a bit of us talk about our reaction to episodes 3, 4, and 5 of The Last of Us. I'll be chopping this up to anybody that will see this, and you'll already know that later, but I'm going to be basically sending this on there. But KQOD Gaming, and just a reminder to you, we're ending the stream because I'm actually going to be getting ready for work soon. I will be working from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now, granted, I could do something later, but I think I'm going to try to use that time to edit, or at least make sure that the software and everything else was good, because we had a little bit of a hiccup in between. But yeah, Sham, and then like he was just like, what's going on? Like, what did I do? And he just looked at him like, what did I do? And it wasn't as aggressive as in the game where he's like, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. And like, no, nobody's fault. He didn't do it like that, and yet it still worked. It was sad because it was one of those, like, they didn't really have a plan. It was just them surviving. Even like Henry, he didn't even have like the same experience or that capability. Like I said, he had swagger. He definitely had that same look and feel to the persona or personality of Henry in the game. But Henry was more like experienced in the game. Like he knew his way around a gun. He knew what he needed to do. He was definitely stone cold killer, because he even at one point held the gun and he's like, look, I never killed nobody. I don't really mean this. And Joel is like stone cold, like they're like, as soon as this dude do something dumb, I'm gonna snap his neck. And Ellie was like the icebreaker, and I like that she was the icebreaker between the two. She was in the game in the sense of when you saw Sam hold the gun and was about to kill Joel because Joel's beating the crap out of Henry at that time. But I like how they did it this way, and I even like how Ellie tried to force Joel to be a little bit more communicative, be able to talk a little bit more. Because one thing in the game with Joel's character, and rightfully so, he was traumatized. He lost everything. He even lost Tish. That's like his last bit of happiness. But I like the fact that they allowed his character to open up. I wish to some small degree, there was like a small part of me that kind of wish like he was a little bit more of a douche than what he as the game. But honestly, I like this level of douche because it's like it's friendly and it's fun. So I was cool with this one. I liked how they did that. And even for him to kind of even tell the joke in episode 4 and actually laugh at the joke that Ellie told. Like, you see that bonding and stuff happening. And I think that's one of those things of like, if we would have done it based on the game, I don't think they could have recreated that as good or have had an impact on it as much as they did in the series. So all in all, like, this has been a good series. Out of every game adapted series I've ever watched in all my life, by far, this being the top number one. Probably and the only thing I could say that I thought was a good game adaptation, and that was way in the very beginning, and that was the first 2 Resident Evil movies, because I liked Resident Evil 1. Even though they didn't have nothing to do with the characters, it was cool at the time, the action, to see the dogs move, the liquors. But then they got a little bit weird later, but truth be told, and I'm embarrassed to say that I was that guy that stayed all the way. I'm the one that stayed all the way to and even watched final chapter. Me and a homie looked at each other and we was like, the heck did we just witness as the ending? But that was the ending that I saw. My sister was the smart one. She got out at extinction. But I'll tell you this much. I will pick the Resident Evil movies. I have a higher appreciation for the Resident Evil movies of then than I do of the Netflix series that just came out. Yeah, no. The CGI version of it, I think it was does anybody remember what that's called? Darkness or something. It was the CGI version with Leon and them. I will watch that because the CGI honestly was good. of Resident Evil, Damnation, Degeneration, Vendetta, and the fact that they even brought Rebecca back was an awesome treat. She has not been in anything ever since 1, so they did a good job with that. But yeah, this by far is definitely good. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with the next episodes on their way. It's already been talks of them actually sitting there doing a season 2 and all that, man. It's just, now some people have actually thought that there was gonna be like several seasons. I don't see that. I feel like this is because they're kind of honestly speeding through this quite a lot. Already in 5 episodes, they pretty much knocked out pretty much majority of the chapters. I maybe see if I'm, and I could be wrong, maybe 5 or 10, maybe 5 or 10 more episodes. They may pull the second season, the first season, but from what I understood, the second season, yeah, I don't see it either. I don't see it taking that long, and that's why they're prompting and pushing for season 2 already. But what a lot of people think season 2 is basically Last of Us Part 2. So to all the Abby haters out there, please be kind to the actor that played it. To everybody, and even then, like honestly, I still liked Abby's character in 2. I think a lot of people, because granted we all grew up with Joel. I say it like this: if it had been reversed, I think people would have felt the same if either Abby's dad got killed or, you know, Abby's friend or whatever, and Joel was the bad guy. It just, what I think the game did for me, it just opened my eyes to, it's not black and white as much as we think it is. It was really more gray. It was really never no good or bad or evil. It's just people out there just trying to survive. Joel did a lot of things in his time, and it caught up with him. Abby did stuff in her caught with her. Ellie, it's just a cycle that, you know, until somebody decides to break that cycle, it never ends. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do. Now, there was rumors I just heard even from a text from a homie, but I saw an article on that too, where The Last of Us 3 may or may not happen. They did get the approval from Sony. They got the green light. But there is still like in question. They haven't fully finished out the script, and there's no guarantee as of when. So that's just open. Imagine if it was Ellie instead of Joel. If they would have did an alternative game like that, or I don't know if maybe the game creators could even hear that, like from you, Campflower, like, hey, what would that? I would love to see that game, because then it's like Joel at this point is like in full rage, because I could even see him even going back to Bill, beating the crap out of him and stuff just to get some weapon. Like, you know, I really need this. Like, they took her. They like, what the damn it, Bill? I ain't got like, what's going on with you? Like, Ellie's gone. Like, what? And I don't know, maybe they team up, or both him and Tommy, or all 3 of them. Like, that would have been cool. The only thing that would have been guaranteed, though, you already know, yeah, Abby would have been dead. Now, Joel already is strong enough as is. If he would have sat there and like hit the gym just a tad bit more, he would have been on some Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff, and would have just sat there and just came up in there and just like, hasta la vista, baby, and just sat there and literally just stomped her right out. Yeah, that would have been a massacre, but that would have been something worth seeing. I'm honestly, because I'm so curious. I mean, I know that I didn't even, truth be told, I didn't see there being a Last of Us 2. So that being said, it's hard for me to see what a Last of Us 3 will, based off of what we've seen thus far. They could continue the story with Abby's character. That, to me, despite some of the opinion against her character, will probably be more ideal. The only thing that Ellie has to do is basically try to go back and eventually find Dina. And 9 times out of 10, it's either going to go one or two ways, because either that or something happens, maybe another infection, maybe it's another faction group, and either that and even maybe Abby and Ellie team up somewhere, or they bump into each other. I would definitely like to see more stuff with Abby. I would love to see her redemption, because at least, you know, where she's at, she didn't even want to fight. She understood everything that happened. She got it. But I would love to see her adventure as she tried to get to, what was it, Santa Monica, or as she tried to get to that next island. Somebody said they might do a game of Joel before everything. Now, if they do that as a prequel, that would be nice, because then we could see Joel, we could see Tommy, what he did. And that was another thing I like that they influenced, or they actually managed to put up in here, was literally Joel trying to figure out what happened to Tommy. You didn't hear that too much, or at least maybe I didn't pay attention to it, but I didn't hear him talk or emphasize a lot about Tommy. It was mentioned later, but that wasn't mentioned like from start to finish, even to a point of talking to Tesh about it. So yeah, honestly, they filled in. I think they did a good job of filling in the blanks. There are a few inconsistencies, but like it's forgivable, and a lot of it to me is just really cosmetics. For example, some people have even like, well, Joel's daughter being older, her being in high school, but then it's like, you can forgive that. It still hits the same. It still hits the ballpark. They honestly, yeah. I really can't say anything else. Like, some people even complain about Ellie's character, her look, but all in all, they did a good job. The fact that they even got the actor from Greenleaf to play as Marlene, and she did a good job. Because at first, when they first introduced Marlene, I thought she either just lied in the show, or maybe even insinuating in the game that she lied and said she knew Ellie just so that Joel and them would take her. But it made sense now, because at first she didn't know who the hell she was, but then like after that she started to recognize, and she was like, I was with your mother, and I was like, okay, that's how that happened. So now it's like they're doing a good job at really filling in the blanks, even if it is to your imagination, if no other. So yeah, all in all, that was a great one. But guys, I hate to do this, but we're gonna wrap up both this stream and the talk on Last of Us. To anybody that's been looking for the review, I'm gonna go ahead and try to chop this up real quick and put it up for anybody to see. To everybody else, as far as streaming is concerned, guys, I hope y'all had a good time watching your boy play Pokemon. Tomorrow is Forspoken, and then after that, guys, just a reminder, Friday there will absolutely be no streams. I will be working Friday, doing a double, as well as Saturday, Sunday. And let me check my schedule one good time real quick. Because I don't think I'll have another day off until like Thursday or so. Thank you, Cam Flower. Thank you, Carla. Seriously, thank you for opening up on that, because honestly, I delayed the reaction. Hold on one second before you go. I honestly delayed. Cold Blue! What's going on? Papas, welcome back. Appreciate you coming on through. So yeah, yep, I go in at 11 today. I work my normal shift tomorrow. I work a double the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, and 22 will all be work days. As a reminder, on the 22nd, guys, I will not be able to stream because I'm doing a double then. But on the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, definitely maybe. But those are the main days. I would say just don't look for anything. 17th, don't look for nothing. 26th, don't look for nothing. And every other day we'll try to get it going. But if anything else comes up, we appreciate you. Appreciate you, man. We all need that work. We all need that work. But guys, I'm gonna wrap up the stream. I'll see you guys soon. To everybody, it's your boy heemzcastgamingyt signing out. I'll see you guys soon. More content to everybody out there. Peace. Till the next video and stream.